introduce to you the man of the hour,
Tony. Hello and welcome back to At the Gates. I'm your host, the one and only Tony. And for the first time in a while, it feels like it's been a super long time, I am going to a baseball game. I am biking right now with basically flat tires because I forgot to check, but that doesn't really matter much. Biking from my car to Target Field. This shouldn't have been Target Field, not necessarily just because of today, but I mean the episode number, because I should have actually been recording this at Cincinnati about 2 weeks ago. But instead of being able to be in Cincinnati, I, on the way down, ended up having a bit of a medical emergency, as well as, ironically enough, at the same time, my dad was having one. And so that meant that I could not make it all the way down. I had to basically drove down on that Friday down to Merrillville, Indiana. And so that's about 7 hours away from home. And sorry, I'm getting distracted because the people were not stopping and I had the right of way. And I almost got hit by a car. Should not be recording this as I bike, I guess. Anywho, like I was saying, Merrillville, Indiana, 7 hours away from home. Felt kind of strange at about noon that day, and basically felt like I had to pee all the time, but nothing was coming out. So, oh yeah, be warned, I guess it's slightly graphic. It's not really graphic, but if you don't want to hear about pee, then I'd turn it off at this point. Anywho, couldn't pee. Thought it was a little bit strange, but kept on going because there was baseball. So on the way down, still felt like I had to pee all the time, but I knew better. Knew that I really hadn't drank much. Thought maybe I was just dehydrated. So make it down there at about 1, almost 2 in the morning, and went to about 3 or 4 hotels. Turned out no one had room, which was getting really frustrating because it was late and I wasn't feeling well. Then once I finally found a hotel, like I said, about 2 o'clock, get in, and it got worse. By now it wasn't just the peeing sensation, it was that it felt like someone was grabbing my kidney and also grabbing a testicle of mine. Like I had a fish hook in both of them, and somewhere in the middle is where it was being pulled from. Tried to take a shower to see if it was any type of cramping or something like that. Turns out that it wasn't. And at one point I peed again, and I had it happen down in just after the game in Tampa, where I peed what isn't really blood, but it is super concentrated urine that basically is dehydratedness and maybe a little bit of blood, but it's not like you're actually internally bleeding. It's generally not a good sign though when it's like a reddish brown like I had, and that freaked me out. So all of this is going on, and it turned into almost like a panic attack situation. Pain wasn't going away, tried to fall asleep. Finally, by about 3 or so in the morning, I couldn't take it and ended up driving back home which is really fun because, you know, lack of sleep, starting a 7-hour trip at 3 in the morning, just generally not advised. Ended up getting back. Actually, sorry, I take that back. Just north of Merrillville, probably still within the town, but north of where I was staying, I stopped and got something to drink because I hadn't drank for a while. Got some water. Figured that was the best for me. And in that gas station, I started to vomit, which is great. Partly due to anxiety and then partly because it was hurting so bad. And then I bought the drinks, pounded one of the 20 ounces that I had, and just like that, I started to feel almost like it was getting better. This was good news because I had a long drive back, but kind of still strange because I didn't know what it was. Like I said originally before, I thought maybe it was just dehydration. And then the worst started creeping into my mind, especially because at the time, my dad was having some issues that were somewhat similar. I won't go too into depth, but he's fine now, but it generally just wasn't good, and some of them were lower like that, like I was having, including some of the same urinary symptoms. But at this point, I thought maybe it was an infection, which kind of made sense. But when it started to hurt my kidney, that didn't make as much sense. Then when it was kind of quickly over, and it almost felt like I peed something, pretty sure that in Indiana, for this whole trip, I basically went down on a Friday night, delivered a small, very small kidney stone in Indiana at Friday night, we'll call it Saturday morning, and then drove back. So that was that weekend. So instead of going to 2 baseball games, I gave birth to a tiny stone and at least made it back to be able to hang out with my family and make sure that my dad was on the rebound. So I think that Cleveland is just cursed. The first time I tried to go there, get rained out with Jared. That kind of sucks, but oh well, we got 4 out of 5 games. Next time I try to go down there, have a kidney stone and can't go to either of the games that I was planning, including the one in Cleveland that was supposed to be on that Monday. Sucky. So if you're listening to this in Cleveland, I hate you. I hate your town. I don't really hate you, but your town just sucks. But now here I am, finally back, a couple weeks removed, feeling better, trying to take care of myself. Let this be a note to everyone out there. Drink your water. Don't drink too many sugary things. Pretty sure that's what kind of did me in, was sugary drinks for a while. I haven't had caffeine for almost a month or so. So that was kind of cut out just before it started to happen because I kind of knew the issues that were happening in Tampa. Again, I thought it was either dehydration or something like that. But yeah, stay away from sugary drinks, caffeine, and even the fake sugars, the diet sodas and stuff, because they'll catch up to you, especially when you get in your 30s. Just a little tip. I would have to say that if you're chugging a lot of Mountain Dew or Monsters or anything like that, that's probably that's probably even worse. I'm glad that I don't do that anymore. I'm glad that I never really got too far into that, but pretty sure that would have sped up the process. But here I am, made it to Target Field, waiting at the gates. Still have 22 minutes until they open. It's about 57 degrees and cloudy, off and on sprinkles. It was supposed to rain all day, but for whatever reason, the modeling for this area, almost like the last year, I'd say, has been pretty inaccurate when it comes to precipitation, especially rain. this summer. It's been really horrible. It'll tell you it's an all-day storm. Then it turns out that it goes through earlier than expected and leaves a lot earlier than expected, or just never hits. In this case, it came in and left a lot earlier, and it hasn't rained for quite a while, especially anything of significance. So haven't looked at the field yet. I'm thinking that they probably will have batting practice, maybe. Nope. There is no netting set up, which kind of sucks, but maybe they'll change their mind like the other night. So that's it in a nutshell. I was going to talk about Big Sexy when I was in Cincinnati, but I don't know that there's much to say. Everyone knows it by now. He's been pitching okay. He's probably good for 4 or 5 innings, and then usually second, third time through, he gets smoked by the rest of the batters. So other than that, don't really have much to say, and we'll see. I'm not expecting huge things tonight, especially because there's not BP going on, but hopefully I can get another handful. It's just been a while since I've been here, and it'll just be nice to do it up again, because I was on a good pace this year, and I'd like to still finish strong. I think I'm still, in basically a week from now, I'll be in Milwaukee going to my first game when I'm ball hawking at Miller Park. And then a couple weeks after that, I'm going to try to get down to Cincinnati again. I am very much ignoring Cleveland because I don't want to jinx myself. I don't really believe in those, but between not having the time and not just not wanting to test it anymore, I'm leaving Cleveland for another time, probably when I hit up Detroit and Toronto. So we'll see. Other than that, expect big things again in 2018. I know that we're not really that close to the end of the year, but we're well over halfway, and I'm already starting to kind of plan next year with Jared. We are looking at going to Los Angeles and hit up both stadiums there, as well as San Diego, then down to Phoenix. So if you are in that area and have any tips, reach out to me, let me know. Or if you want to meet up at the game, hey, I'll give you the information. It's probably going to be earlier in the season. Obviously, the schedules haven't come out yet, but I'm hoping sometime in April or May, kind of to avoid the huge crowds and be able to kind of eliminate a few stadiums earlier rather than later. Avoid the big crowds and just be able to kind of get excited for baseball early rather than late. So other than that, I will leave it for the recap and anything else that comes up. Until then, have a good day.